This is Brandon with Fleet Feet, and we've got a roundup for you all today, and it is about Karhu. For anyone who doesn't know what Karhu is, we're gonna do a little bit of a deep dive of the history of Karhu, its relationship with Fleet Feet, and why that's so important. And then I'm gonna break down 4 different shoes from Karhu that you can try out for yourself. For those of you who don't know what Karhu is a Finnish company that's actually been around for quite a while. And Karhu in Finnish means bear. But before we go any further, let's just rewind a little bit to 1916 when the company first started. The Finnish company actually started in Helsinki, and it wasn't named Karhu at the time, it was actually named something else. The company was actually named, and I may get the pronunciation wrong here, so don't grill me for it, but Sportartiklar Oy. And in the beginning, this shoe company decided that it was going to sign a few big-time Finnish athletes that became known as the Flying Finns. Most of the Flying Finns were in track and field events. Fast forward 4 years later, the company named itself Karhu, which, like I said, is named bear. And after 4 years of investment and during an Olympic cycle, the Flying Finns ended up winning multiple Olympic gold medals. And then in 1960, Karhu came up with this M logo, which is short for Mestari, and Mestari in Finnish means champion. This is their current logo today, but what's actually interesting is at the time, Karhu was creating track spikes with 3 stripes on it, and a company called Adidas came along and actually bought the rights to that 3-stripe logo, and Adidas still carries it to this day. So Karhu decided to stick with the M for Mestari, which means champion. Fast forward to 1986, and Karhu really starts to innovate, especially in the running department, and they develop a piece of technology called fulcrum, which is basically a plate in the shoe that adds energy return and stability. It's not a full-length plate, but it is a plastic piece right here in the middle of the shoe. And then fast forward to 2016, and Karhu and Fleet Feet began an exclusive relationship in the US, where Fleet Feet is the only distributor and seller for Karhu running shoes in the United States. And many of the upper and last fits and models of the Karhu running shoes that you see today are built off of the 3D imaging scans from Fleet Feet's Fit ID process. And there's over 100,000 images that have gone into the development of this shoe. So let's actually break down some of these shoes and some of the technology. But before we go anywhere, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps to continue to support us as we put out new videos. You know, they say leave the best for last, but I'm actually just gonna go right off the bat and say that this Karhu shoe in particular that we're gonna talk about first is my absolute favorite, and that is the Karhu Mustari Run. This is Karhu's max cushion daily trainer. It's going to have the highest stack, it's gonna have the most cushioning, and it definitely has the softest foam. It's great for long distance running or just walking all day. The upper is made up of an ideal knit mesh upper. The lacing system is made up of what Karhu calls their M-Lock lacing system, which is very snug around the midfoot. The tongue is gusseted. There is quite a bit of padding in the tongue and the heel collar. And overall, this upper is just very snug and it locks in well. Now let's move on to the midsole. And the midsole is going to be made up of this foam that is going to be in most Karhu shoes, which is their Aero Foam midsole. The midsole is not just only made up of this foam, but it has that fulcrum technology that Karhu uses in most of their shoes. And it has that max cushion feel with an 8mm drop with 33 in the heel and 25 in the toe. And the outsole is made up of almost full length rubber coverage, and we had no issues with traction. One of the reviewers on our team, Kate, who is an excellent distance runner, had a lot to say about this shoe. She said that the Mestari Run is a very different Karhu experience than what she's used to. This is the cushiest Karhu yet. And she said that the upper's plush feel perfectly complements the underfoot sensation. And if you're looking to check this shoe out for yourself, it's going to cost around $160. Now let's move on to the Karhu Iconi. So we went from a max cushion daily trainer like the Mestari to a low profile daily trainer like the Ikoni. So this shoe is going to have a bit of a lower stack. It's going to have more ground feel. It's going to be a little bit of a firmer ride, but it's still going to provide you all of that energy return that you might be looking for, and it's going to have a really nice stable ride because of the fulcrum. This is considered the OG Karhu running shoe. It's really one of the first to be released and one of Karhu's most popular. This shoe was actually released in 2018, and it was one of the first to receive the treatment where Karhu took all of the data points from Fleet Feet's Fit ID system and put it into this shoe in order to create that perfect fit. The upper is made up of an ideal knit mesh, which is the same upper material that you can find in the Mestari Run. One of our viewers, Mandy, actually loved the upper fit of this shoe and found that it wrapped around perfectly with her foot, almost like a cocoon. Again, in the midsole, we get that Aerofoam midsole. This one a little bit more dense and a little bit more structured than that of the Mestari Run. And the fulcrum technology is just adding a little bit more stability in the shoe and is just creating a nice toe-off transition. Similar to the Mestari Run, this shoe comes in at an 8mm drop, but it does have a lower stack. The stack of this shoe is 3mm less, so it's going to be 30 in the heel and 22 in the forefoot. And the Ikoni has quite a bit of rubber coverage on the bottom, so in terms of durability and traction, they've got you covered. And one of our reviewers, Heather, actually really enjoyed this one, and she said it's not too soft and it's not too firm either. It just offers a really nice ride for an easy run. She said that she can really feel that fulcrum just giving her a little bit of extra support when she was pushing through her stride, which she really appreciated. She was also pretty surprised on how lightweight this shoe felt, even on foot. She's someone who really likes a lightweight running option, so this one worked well for her. And this shoe, because it has a little bit less foam, it is going to be more of a lower profile ride than that of the Mestari. This shoe is going to cost $150. And for all of you stability lovers out there, those who need a little bit of extra support in different areas, the Karhu Synchron would be your best option. This is Karhu's stability daily trainer, and it honestly feels pretty good. Again, we've got that ideal knit mesh upper, which we can find in both the Ikoni and in the Mestari Run. But this one's a little bit different because the upper is reinforced with some 3D glue overlays, and you can tell that this shoe has got overlays all around the bottom of the shoe. It's a little bit difficult to see in this colorway, but I'll throw some B-roll up there for you all to see it. But the detailing here just adds a little bit of that extra structure and support. Now the Synchron is going to have a little bit more room in the toe box. It is going to be a bit wider than that of the Ikoni and the Mestari Run to just add a little bit of extra stability. And of course, with a nice plush tongue and heel collar, the tongue is also gusseted. So you're going to have that really nice, comfortable fit and lock. In the midsole, it is a little bit different than what we've been traditionally seeing in both the Ikoni and the Mestari Run. We have a completely new midsole and fulcrum. So the fulcrum here, which you can actually see right on the bottom, it's just this plastic piece here. It actually kind of goes out and almost shaped almost like a spider. Karhu is calling this a stingray fulcrum, and the idea of it is to create even more enhanced stability. You can see how it's sort of shaped out like an X, so it kind of cradles the foot in different areas and just locks it in for nice support. And this other midsole foam is called Aerofoam Nova Cushioning, which is a little bit of a denser and more protective foam. It's going to be a little bit firmer and more stable, so it's going to offer just that nice stability that anyone would need. The drop of this shoe is a little bit more aggressive than the previous models that I've talked about, and it comes in at 8mm, with 24 in the heel and 16 in the toe box. So it is going to be an even lower profile than that of the Ikoni. With the lower stack, this new fulcrum, and the denser foam, it all speaks to a lower profile and more stable ride. And Karhu did not mess around when it came to the outsole of this shoe. They've got a full length rubber coverage outsole, and it's going to protect that fulcrum piece there. So you can actually tell that the fulcrum piece is just kind of divoted in a little bit more for that extra protection. But then you've got the full length rubber coverage of the rubber, and there is a lot of it here. So in terms of durability, I expect this shoe to last a pretty long time. You can really notice the fulcrum, and it was a really nice solution for those who need some extra stability. And the wider fit of this shoe is just a little bit more accommodating, and that's something that I appreciated. It's just going to be a really good shoe for those who have wide feet and just need a wider upper option. This shoe comes in at $170. All right, so we've gone through our max cushion daily trainer, we've gone through a low profile daily trainer, we've gone through a stability daily trainer, and now we have the Fusion 4.0 from Karhu, which is an up-tempo daily trainer. So this is just going to be a bit of a faster ride than the other three that I mentioned. The Fusion 4 is really just a faster feeling Ikoni. Again, the upper is made up of that ideal knit mesh upper. It has a more snug and more streamlined fit. It is going to have a more narrow feel to it, but I had no issues in the toe box with toe splay. But the midfoot lock and the heel lock in this shoe were really nice. The tongue is less padded than some of the other models that we were talking about, and you can tell that the heel collar is actually a little bit less padded too. But the tongue is gusseted, so you really get a nice midfoot wrap. Now the midsole here is made up of a nitrogen infused aerofoam, which is a different formulation than some of the other Karhu models. So like we've talked about in the past, nitrogen infusion is when you've got that small little puck in the beginning, and essentially what they do is they infuse it with some nitrogen and they pump nitrogen into the shoe, and that little puck expands out into a foam like the one that you're seeing here. They carve it out and they sculpt it, but when they're going through that nitrogen infusion process, they're able to tweak the densities, they're able to tweak the energy return on the shoe, how much mass it's going to have, all that other scientific stuff that I don't really understand, but Karhu goes into the lab and does all of that for us, which is great, takes all the guesswork out of it. But it comes out with this really nice propulsive ride. Overall, the midsole foam of this shoe was very responsive. It's still got a little bit of cushioning to it, but it is really just that snappy, fast ride. And the fulcrum, which you can still see there's some visible technology of it here, just enhances that ride a little bit more, and it's really focused on energy return. And this fulcrum piece isn't just a normal plastic piece, it's actually EVA based, so it is going to be a little bit of a more efficient and faster and more higher end fulcrum. And just to save weight in this shoe, Karhu has decided to select different areas of the shoe where they wanted to have a little bit of extra tread and outsole support. But for the most part, this shoe has a little bit less outsole coverage than some of the other models, so it is going to be more of that fast and swift moving foam. This shoe has a really nice rocker shape to it, and Nate actually speaks to the midsole and the rocker, and he really likes it. He basically says that he's not sure whether it's the nitrogen infusion foam or if it's the slight rocker shape or sort of a combination of the two, but he found that this Fusion sort of feels smooth and firm with just the right amount of energy return. Nate is someone who appreciates a little bit of a lower profile, firmer shoe, a bit of a faster and more responsive shoe as well, and he believes that Karhu is one of those companies that really does this well. And for a more fast and propulsive and somewhat snappy ride, you can get the shoe for $150. And if you're looking to check out any of these Karhu shoes, you can go check them out on fleetfeet.com and read even more about them on our blog. But for now, stay tuned for when all of our new YouTube videos come out. There may even be a new Karhu review coming soon.